This beginning part showing you 5 squares that have a pattern in them, and this is the Illustrator file that has the layer, so just showing you the layer on this side. It has 5 basic shapes, trying to stay with the primary colors, and give you the allocation if I duplicate this part. So here I just take it in the swatches panel and drag the red into the panel, and all of a sudden it makes it into a pattern, and when you double click on it, it takes you to this pattern edit it menu, and you can take a look, and they give you some different parameters, and you just have to kind of search around them. But when you go to this size tile to art, it has a link there that keeps it in proportion, so just when you enter the increments of points, it puts it a little distance apart, and you notice it changes the square right into a pattern. But if I draw a square, I can just click on it and it'll show that it's already set up into that pattern. So it's just a square, a little space in between it. The yellow rectangle, just dragging a copy so it won't interfere with the original. Drag it into the swatches panel and it brings up the panel again. This time going into the size, the art, it's 0 points. So just going to increase it just like the red one, but go up into the grid where it has a couple options where it says brick by row, and now you have yellow bricks that are listed onto a wall. And then this part, I can just duplicate the red square and fill it with the piece that's in there. And you can title these right as you make them. This is just the hexagon popped in there, and pull the same thing up, and it already has the default what it was. Just go ahead and change the name to it. Highlighting up there, and then coming down to the size panel down below here, you can click on it, and again go into the grid, and it has a separate designation for rows and columns for the hexagon, and even the offset of it, so you can kind of build this up. So here the computer is actually putting together the pattern with you, and these shapes are what they call a motif, and that part is the repeated section all the way across. So again, just duplicate, or keeps the same size if you just drag with the Option Shift key to duplicate it over. Click on the blue and it fills it to that part. Do the same with the triangle, and it already sets itself up whatever was the past one. Give it a title, and that way you can keep track. Sizing with the art, but you have different sections you can try. This one just going to make it into the pattern. Looks as if it's flipped over. You can actually create your motif, so it will be a repeating pattern. But here this shows just the amount of extra shapes that'll show you the pattern, and then also the dimming it down in the percentage. The last one we'll place down here, fill this up with the triangles there, and the last one is just the circle. Instead of dragging it over, just go straight into where it goes to the pattern editor under object. And there it is, to make, and this will tell you it's automatically going to place a pattern into it right there. Give it the title, and this kind of time you're going to overlap it and let the computer kind of do the overlapping for you. So you have some parameters and some limitations, both if you do it ahead of time or try to let the computer do it. Here you can overlap it, scaling it with the art. And if you increase or decrease, this case we're decreasing it by some points, and you can see it overlapping. Just move one of these off to the margin of the artboard. With Option Shift, come back to the blue and just fill it with the green, and you'll see, you can't see anything really, but if you double click on the option here, this is the isolation mode, and here's the image. It shows you the bounding box and the parameters where they're encroaching. And here I'll just put a gradient. You can see that now with the overlap it shows up because you can see the edges based off of that gradient. So if you could go to each of these pieces, create that shape, get yourself familiar with how to make the pattern. Very basic for the start of this. Here I'll just cut all of these, go to a layer, give myself another layer here with the pattern as the title. And when you go to edit paste, instead of the keystrokes, I'll just show you on the screen, paste in front will put it exactly on the page where you just left it in position. And just scaling this down to try to compose the image so that you can do a screenshot. So just selecting the top 3 and grouping them, and do the bottom 2 and do the same thing, object group or hit the keyboard stroke, and then selecting all of them, and up at the top you have the parts where you can arrange these, and then to the left it tells you to what. the artboard, an object, or a selection. The artboard is the default, so just click on the middle, group all of these together, and then just do the same thing with there it is, vertical and horizontal. And now I have enough space. And then down at the bottom, or the keystroke, you can change the screen mode. And when you click on it, the bottom one is the full screen. You click on that, deselect everything, and that way you have an image. You can zoom in, spacebar to help you position it, and then just do the screenshot. And that's pretty much what you have right there.